where you are now, with all your past relationships and everyone that you have smashed and everything, you're
Yeah.
gonna marry someone's
Sounds like
daughter.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
It sounds like it to me. I'm not judging you. You're gonna marry someone's child one day, I hope. How are all these other relationships going to affect how you view her, how you treat her, how she manages to satisfy or not satisfy you? In my opinion, the more relationships one has before marriage, that I don't think it's a good thing. Yes, you're saying you need to sleep with someone so that you know before you get married, so that you know what's what. But in my opinion, that's a recipe for disaster in the marriage space, especially the marriage bed. But as guys, with your experience and your views, how do you view that?
Okay. Well, good things that we're speaking from our perspective, right?
Yes.
Okay, with me, that's a hard question. Okay, so all the other past relationships for me have been learning curves, right? I've learned from them. I now know me better. I now know what I like and what I don't like. I know how to approach certain issues. It has made me a better man and prepared me to actually be able to have a proper, stable relationship. Like I said, my relationships have always been long. Right? Like my serious ones. I'm not counting my smash and grab and all that type of stuff. Like my serious relationships have always been long. And regarding the sex thing, I'm not, as much as you guys don't believe me, I don't sleep with girls on the first date. I've got trust issues. So before I get married, I personally, this is why I differ with him, I would rather not have sex with you at all or have any sex at all.
Damn.
Because then I have expectations. I wanted to feel a certain way. I wanted to be in a certain way. But the moment I stop for a certain while, all that leave. Like,
So you're fantasizing on the whole experience and all that?
dude, I have moments when I'm smashing. I'm like, yeah, it's not as good as that.
Doesn't it feel like Cinderella's
Exactly. You
experience?
see, I'm like, yeah, but that girl acts this way.
Whoa.
You just flat. You know, all that happens. It's flashbacks. You know. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, it's flashbacks. So I would rather not have sex with you until I'm at that point where, like, you know what, if I have sex with you now, it's because I'm committed to you and I know you're committed to me and I'm not going to have sex with anyone else after you.
Have you not had this conversation within yourself in the past with other girls saying what you just said now?
Okay, well, with the girl that I was supposed to marry, it was just with her,
Okay.
no one else.
Okay.
But the moment I broke out of it, I'm like, why deprive myself of that? I mean, it's like once you've tasted something, it's very hard to not want it again, especially when it comes to sex. Sex is nice. You know, one of the biggest selling things in this world is sex. So it's nice, but I don't know how. I feel like I'm painting myself black. Okay. So in as much as you guys don't believe me, I don't like having sex on the first day because there's a lot when it comes to having sex. It's not just a physical connection. There's your spiritual side, there's your emotions, you're pretty much carrying someone else's baggage without you knowing. Like, I just don't know who said it, but every time you have sex with someone and you part ways, you're taking a part of that person. So you're just adding on to what you already have. So I look at sex in that manner. As much as, yes, I've had my incidents, but it's never been on the first day. So even when it comes to getting married, I would prefer, especially if I've just met you and we just started talking, I prefer we just don't have any form of efficient intercourse until we're at the point where we're like, okay, cool, you committed to me, I'm committed to you. There's no backing out at this time. And all my past relationships is just a learning curve for me. And as much as, yes, I don't have baggages. I've that. And Spectre and I had this conversation in the morning. When I leave a relationship, I cry. I like physically cry and I let it out. And I'm like, look, I don't want to carry anything with me into the next relationship. I don't want my next person to suffer because of the shit that I went through with the previous relationship. So crying works for me. I lock myself up in the room and I'll cry, never in front of anyone. But I would cry and then I will deal with it. So when I move on, I know that I'm not carrying anything with me to the next relationship. So I will deal with my stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you? How do you think your past relationships or anyone's past relationships, especially the ones that were sexual, affects the next relationship and more importantly, their marriage?
I see why they're bad. but once you experience it, it's very hard to not want it again, right? So, but the negative side to it though is now your previous experiences will give you expectations from the next person that they might not be able to meet. And if they don't meet that, then you start looking at it as maybe she's not good for me, maybe she sucks at it. But you find it's something that you could actually work on, and it's not because she sucks at it, but maybe she just didn't do what you did with the other person, you know. So that's the negative side to it. It can affect your relationship in that way. But the thing is, the truth of the matter though is the life that we're living now, right? There's so much pressure that we put on ourselves because we're looking at how other people are living their lives. Sleeping around has been so glamorized on television, social media, through conversations with friends. Like growing up amongst friends, if ever you slept with a girl, you broke your virginity at a certain stage later than everybody else, then you were made fun of, you know. So amongst guys, that competition started a while ago from young. So we already grew up with that mentality that for me to be the G, for me to be respected by my gents, I have to tell them that I've conquered more females than they have, or at least be at that level, you know. So that will make you now just look for the next girl to conquer, so that I can say, yo, I've done that girl, I've been there. You know, it's like trophies. You know, so you have that sense of competition within you growing up, and that now plays out into you having all these bodies that you've been collecting for a while now. And by the time that you start learning better, you start understanding better, you become a better person, and maybe decides to settle down or stop sleeping around. But the experiences of being there and will somehow affect you. And we might not be aware of it, but if you do proper research, you'll see that there's a psychological effect to it in the relationship as to how your previous experiences will affect you in the next one, you know. So those are things that we as men don't really speak about, and we don't really look at or try and study much of. But it's a truth that is there, and we experience it unknowingly, and unfortunately, it's like it's preparing us for divorce or breakups, because we always ready for the next person.
Sorry to cut you, man. I feel like also before we just make it like it's a very, very bad thing. Not that I'm saying it's good, but let's just be a bit practical, if I'm in a sense. There's a story that says 2 sons had a drunk father. One turned out good, one turned out bad. So whatever experience you went through doesn't make it an excuse for you to be a bad person. Whatever you went through, it's how you deal with it. You know, you learn from your mistakes, and you become a better person.
We hope that everyone learns from their mistake, and we hope that every person, like that story, to say, regardless of who raised you, you still become your best self. But I am of the view that with my 2 boys, as I'm raising them up, I don't want them to have a thing of, okay, sorry, we had a bad mom or a bad dad, and we need to make the most of what we had. I'd rather give them the best advice, the best tools, the best upbringing, so that they don't have to struggle with that.
Most parents suck though.
That's what I mean. I'm not saying, yes, you have had your experience, and now you have learned, and you've made up your mind to say, I'm not going to do that anymore for my wife, my next girlfriend. This is what I'm going to do. But not everyone has a strong mind. Not everyone has a strong will. Not everyone is able to say, I've made these mistakes, and this is where I'm going now. And there are so many weak people. Yes, we don't want to acknowledge it. And in my weakness, I might not be able or willing. I might not even see my weakness. And so I'm like, shame. like shame on so many young boys and girls who are going through all of this, who don't understand the implications of it, and then when they get divorced or when they get into the marriage space and it's not what they thought, or they come with all this baggage and this baggage weighs them down, and they're like, I can't do this, I'm divorcing, marriage isn't it. When marriage as an institution is beautiful, but because of social media, because of the movies that we've watched, because of the friends, it has been polluted, and you've been polluted, and you come into the marriage space polluted. So, I understand this is not the typical topics that I cover, and it's a bit, I don't know, vulgar for most, but my intention is to help people, to help the women watching, the young man watching, and to help us correct our wrongs and to help us avoid the wrong with whoever has not performed the wrong, or the children that we are raising up. And that's where I'm at. I hear you.
No, it was.
Hear you. This is what.
No, but I do agree with you. I mean, it's not a common thing to find. A typical example: giants are not common. It's not everywhere you find a giant. So in as much as I just gave my example, not everyone is strong enough to handle it the way I would expect them to handle it, or the way No, to be quite honest though, to be quite truthful.
It's true though.
No, I mean like the analogy that he gave and what he said.
He's making himself a giant.
No, it didn't meet.
Okay.
He's a giant in his own right. And
let's bring it out to just the whole drunkard thing and stuff. I mean, the father was drunk. One kid turned out good, 10 kid turned out bad.
Yeah.
It's common that, and this is just me,
turn out bad.
Majority will turn out bad.
Yep.
For someone to turn out good, it takes a lot. That's why you find successful people will tell you that it wasn't easy to get to where I am today. It took blood, it took sweat, it took tears, it took cutting off people.
Yeah.
It required a lot more. So not everyone is strong enough to be able to take all this baggage and then drop it off to start into a new life. So I get exactly what she's saying.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I'm saying.
Yeah. And also like the environments that most people are growing in, if the people around you don't know better, they won't teach you better. You won't have that understanding. You won't see the effects of it. But if the people around you help you to see it, like also the information that you take in help you to open up your mind and to learn, then also you have enough grounds to make yourself a better person and make better decisions. So I do get when you say I feel shame for them, for everybody that's going through such. And the thing is, it's because it's so glamorized, right? It feels nice to do.
It's a norm.
And also, besides it being glamorized, when you experience it, it's nice. You enjoy it.
Yes.
I mean, all of us here can, right?
Don't
So because of that,
it's harder.
It keeps you going. It becomes harder. And also, even in the space of finding relationships, there's so many dynamics. People struggle to find relationships because you find most guys, right? Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is that I'm sure they're going to be like, who hurt this guy? Who hurts this girl? Who hurt you for you to have this type of mindset, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not that you were hurt. Sometimes it's what you learned, and because of what you saw, and you're like, for me personally, it's because of what I saw, and I was like, I don't want to experience what these people are experiencing. What these people are experiencing. So I had to avoid certain things. That's why I closed myself down. That's why I stayed away from relationships that were emotionally connected or where I was emotionally invested, I stayed away from that because of what I saw. It's not because somebody hurt me. I was not hurt. My heart was not broken when I was young and I decided, I'm going to break girls' hearts. Nah, for me, that's not the story. For me, it was more like having friends and then you see him go through it. You're like, damn, dude, you gave your heart so easily and you got that. Nah, I'm not going to do that. So that's where my thing came from. But most guys, it's usually maybe a girl broke his heart when he was trying to give her his all, and then boom, the guy is like, after this, I'm never going to give my heart to anybody again. So it becomes a whole cycle that is just unhealthy. Yeah.
This makes me think of parenting again. You mentioned that peer pressure growing up, it was a matter of peer pressure to say, how many girls have you slept with? Have you lost your virginity? You're 22 years old and you're still a virgin.
Yeah.
Oh, boo hoo hoo. What if our parents were more comfortable to speak about it?